Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into one of the real turning points in the Civil War,
Hmm.
the fight for Chattanooga.
Yeah,
And luckily for us, we've got,
absolutely.
a ton of different sources to look at.
Yeah.
We've got firsthand accounts, battle reports, even personal letters
Oh, wow.
to really help us understand how this crucial city, which,
Right.
first fell to a brutal Confederate victory, ended up back in Union hands.
It's amazing what a roller coaster this story is, both in terms of like the events, but also the emotions.
Uh-huh.
So in September of 1863, the Union was riding high, fresh off the victories at Gettysburg and Vicksburg.
Yeah.
But then Chickamauga happened,
Oh, yeah.
and it shook the North to its core.
It really did.
Yeah.
I mean, the sources we've got describe just a chaotic scene at Chickamauga.
Oh, wow.
And Union General Rosecrans, he made some critical miscalculations,
Mm.
and his army was just routed.
Oh, wow.
Like one soldier writes in his diary about the cries of the wounded,
Oh, God.
echoing through the night.
Yeah.
It's just a chilling reminder of the human cost of these battles.
And even though the Confederates won at Chickamauga,
Right.
it wasn't like a perfect, clean victory. You
Good.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bragg, the Confederate commander, he got a ton of criticism from his own generals
Oh, really?
for not pursuing the retreating Union army. Like, they felt that he'd missed this golden opportunity to just crush the enemy.
So even in victory, they were already planting the seeds for some discontent.
Yeah, totally.
And this internal conflict, it just seems like it plagues them throughout the entire campaign.
Yeah.
You can really feel the tension rising in their letters and reports as they bicker among themselves.
Absolutely.
It's like, come on, guys, focus.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and this is where Chattanooga becomes so important. You see, it wasn't just some random town, okay?
Right.
It was this vital rail hub that controlled access to the Deep South.
Okay.
So whoever held Chattanooga, they had the significant advantage in supplying their troops and controlling the flow of the war.
It's amazing how crucial geography plays into all this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's at this point that Lincoln, desperate for a turnaround,
Yeah.
he brings in Ulysses S. Grant
Ooh, yeah.
to take command of the entire Western theater.
Grant's a different kind of leader entirely.
Hmm.
I mean, he's known for his tenacity,
Right.
but also his focus on logistics.
Okay.
In fact, one of the first things that he does is establish the Cracker Line.
The Cracker Line.
This was this vital supply route that allowed the Union Army, which had been on the brink of starvation,
Oh, wow.
to finally get the food and supplies they desperately needed.
It's crazy how something as simple as just a steady supply of food can have such a dramatic impact
Right.
on the morale and effectiveness of an army.
I mean, Grant understood that battles weren't just won on the front lines.
Right.
He recognized the need for a well-supplied and well-fed army to be successful. And, his ability to solve these logistical challenges.
Yeah.
That was one of his key strengths.
And speaking of strengths, he also had a knack for recognizing talent,
Right.
Like replacing Rosecrans with General George Thomas,
Oh, yeah.
the Rock at Chickamauga.
Yeah.
For his steadfast defense during that earlier defeat,
Right.
proved to be a pretty brilliant move.
Thomas was like this stabilizing force, and his promotion, I mean, it boosted the morale of the Union Army, who were pretty demoralized after Chickamauga.
Yeah.
And then you've got William Tecumseh Sherman arriving, reuniting with Grant.
Right.
I mean, their shared history and understanding of warfare made for a pretty formidable command team.
Yeah, it's a real turning point.
Mm.
Grant in command, a revitalized army, a crucial supply line secured.
Right.
The stage was set for the Union to try and retake Chattanooga. But it wasn't going to be easy.
No.
Because the Confederates, they held the high ground on Lookout Mountain and Missionary Ridge, giving them a significant tactical advantage.
Yeah, but Grant, ever the strategist,
Yeah.
came up with this audacious plan.
Okay.
He decides on a three-pronged assault,
Okay.
utilizing each of his army's strengths.
Hmm.
So Thomas, with the Army of the Cumberland,
Yeah.
he would hold the center.
Okay.
Hooker would attack Lookout Mountain.
Right.
And Sherman would be tasked with breaking through the Confederate right flank at Tunnel Hill.
So tell me a little bit more about this plan.
Okay.
How did it actually unfold? I mean, was it as simple as Grant just drawing a few lines on a map and sending his troops into battle?
Well, it was definitely more complex than that.
Right.
And battles rarely go exactly according to plan,
Of course.
But Grant, known for his kind of I guess, gruff demeanor actually starts things off with a little bit of deception.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he orders this formal review of the troops, which the Confederates, they mistake for a simple parade.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So I bet they were caught completely off guard.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
And in the midst of this review, Thomas's troops, they suddenly launch this surprise attack.
Wow.
And they capture Orchard Knob.
Orchard Knob.
Yeah, the strategic hill that gives them a crucial vantage point for the Union.
So that was the first step in his plan.
Yeah.
Like the opening move in a game of chess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gives the Union this much-needed foothold.
Okay.
And from this newly captured position, Grant could oversee the battlefield and direct his forces much more effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much more effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just the beginning, you know?
Right.
The next morning brought the famous Battle Above the Clouds on Lookout Mountain.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that one.
Oh, yeah. This one really captures the imagination, you know?
Yeah.
The fog was so thick that soldiers described feeling like they were fighting in heaven itself.
Really?
Yeah.
It sounds almost mythical.
Right.
You know, a battle shrouded in mist and mystery. But what was its significance?
You know,
in the grand scheme of things.
It was a key victory for Hooker and the Union.
Okay.
Taking Lookout Mountain meant they gained control of a strategic overlook
Okay.
and put even more pressure on those Confederate forces.
Okay.
This victory set the stage for the final showdown on Missionary Ridge.
Okay, so the pressure was building on the Confederates.
Oh, yeah.
But what about Sherman?
Uh-huh.
How was his attack on Tunnel Hill progressing?
So Sherman, he was facing some fierce resistance from Patrick Cleburne, a Confederate general known for his tenacity and tactical skill.
Oh, wow.
The terrain at Tunnel Hill was heavily fortified.
Yeah.
And Sherman's troops were really struggling to make any headway.
So things weren't going exactly according to plan.
Right.
Did Grant have a backup plan?
He did.
Okay.
With Sherman bogged down in the north.
Right.
And Hooker's men having secured Lookout Mountain.
Yeah.
Grant decided to turn his attention to the center, where Thomas and the Army of the Cumberland were positioned.
Okay.
His initial order was for Thomas to make a limited attack.
Okay.
A feint.
A feint.
To draw Confederate attention and resources away from Sherman.
So it wasn't meant to be like a full-blown assault?
That's right. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The soldiers of the Army of the Cumberland, they had been really demoralized after that defeat at Chickamauga.
Yeah.
They were eager to prove their worth and redeem themselves in Grant's eyes.
So when the order came to advance,
Yeah.
they saw this as their chance to shine.
Exactly. What was meant to be a limited attack turned into this unstoppable surge.
Right.
The soldiers, fueled by a combination of pent-up frustration and a desire to prove themselves, charged up Missionary Ridge with incredible ferocity, breaking through those Confederate lines.
Wow, talk about a turning point.
Yeah.
What was Grant's reaction to this?
Oh, he was furious that his orders had been disobeyed.
Wow.
But as he watched the Union soldiers sweep across the ridge, capturing it from the stunned Confederates, his anger turned to awe.
Wow.
This unplanned, almost spontaneous assault had completely changed the course of the battle.
It must have been an incredible sight to behold.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
And Grant, realizing the opportunity before him, quickly sent word to Sherman to renew his attack with the Confederate center collapsing.
Yeah.
Sherman was finally able to break through at Tunnel Hill, completing the Union victory.
So Chattanooga, once a symbol of Confederate strength, was back in Union hands.
Yeah.
What a dramatic turnaround.
The battles for Chattanooga marked a real pivotal moment in the war. You know, it solidified Union control of the West, secured this vital supply line, and opened the door for further advances. But perhaps even more importantly, it showcased the resilience and fighting spirit of that Union Army.
It also highlighted the importance of strong leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Grant's logistical skills, his ability to inspire his troops, and his willingness to adapt to these changing circumstances all played a crucial role in the Union victory.
For sure.
But what about Bragg? How did he fare after this defeat?
Well, let's just say his days were numbered. The loss at Chattanooga, coupled with his increasingly strained relationships with his subordinate, proved to be his undoing.
So while Grant's star was rising, Bragg's was falling.
Yeah.
What happened to him after the battle?
Well, the criticism that had been brewing among his own ranks finally boiled over.
Yeah.
He was forced to resign his command.
Wow.
A fallen hero, bearing the brunt of the blame for that Confederate defeat.
It's almost tragic, isn't it?
Yeah.
To go from the heights of victory at Chickamauga to the depths of defeat and disgrace at Chattanooga.
It is. But it also highlights the immense pressure and scrutiny that these military leaders faced during the Civil War. I mean, every decision, every victory, every defeat carried enormous weight.
Yeah, it really does make you think about the burdens of command. You know, the weight of responsibility for so many lives. You know, it's easy to forget that these generals were human beings.
Right.
Grappling with these incredibly complex situations.
And for Bragg, the pressure just proved too much.
Yeah.
I mean, his stories are a reminder that even in the midst of war, leadership is about more than just tactics and strategies.
Right.
It's about managing personalities, navigating internal conflicts, and maintaining the trust of your subordinates.
So Bragg's departure, it left a void in the Confederate command.
Right.
What happened next?
Okay.
So who stepped into his shoes?
Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy.
Yeah.
He appointed General Joseph E. Johnston
to
take over the Army of Tennessee. Johnston was a respected and experienced commander, but he faced this daunting task.
Yeah.
I mean, the Confederate Army was demoralized after Chattanooga.
Right.
And the Union forces under Grant were growing stronger, more confident.
It sounds like the tide was turning in favor of the Union. But did the Confederates make any further attempts to regain control of Chattanooga?
They did.
Okay.
In fact, General James Longstreet, who had played a key role in that Confederate victory at Chickamauga. He was sent to try and dislodge Union General Ambrose Burnside from Knoxville, Tennessee. The hope was that this would divert Union attention and resources away from Chattanooga.
So it was kind of a gamble.
Right.
A flanking maneuver to try and shift the balance of power back in their favor.
Exactly.
Okay.
However, Longstreet's campaign ultimately failed. He was unable to capture Knoxville. And the Union maintained their grip on Chattanooga, solidifying their control of East Tennessee.
It seems like the Confederate setbacks just kept piling up.
Yeah.
What did these losses mean for the overall war effort?
Well, the defeats at Chattanooga and Knoxville were significant blows to the Confederacy. I mean, they lost control of this vital rail hub, suffered heavy casualties, and, saw their morale plummet. Meanwhile, the Union gained momentum. And Grant's reputation as a skilled and determined commander just grew stronger.
And this paved the way for Grant's eventual promotion to General-in-Chief of all Union armies, right?
Precisely. Lincoln, recognizing Grant's abilities, gave him overall command, tasking him with bringing the war to a successful conclusion. And Grant, with his, characteristic focus and determination, set his sights on the ultimate prize, Richmond, Virginia, the capital of the Confederacy.
So the stage was set for that final act of the war,
the
clash of titans between Grant and Lee in Virginia. But before we move on from Chattanooga, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
You mentioned the human cost of these battles.
Yeah.
The stories of the soldiers who fought and died there.
It's crucial to remember that behind every strategic decision, every advance and retreat, there were real people whose lives were forever changed by the events of the war. And, their stories offer this powerful reminder of the human toll of conflict.
Do we have any specific examples from our sources?
We do, like glimpses into the lives of those who experienced these battles firsthand.
Yeah, one particularly poignant diary entry from a Confederate soldier after Chickamauga describes the scene as a harvest of death.
Oh, wow.
He talks about this overwhelming grief and despair among his comrades, even in the wake of their victory.
It's a stark reminder that victory often comes at a terrible price.
Yeah.
And on the Union side, we have letters from soldiers describing the joy and relief
they felt when Grant's cracker line was established, finally bringing them the food and supplies that they had been lacking for so long.
Those letters, they capture those small moments of humanity that persisted even amidst the horrors of war. They highlight the importance of basic necessities, the comfort of a warm meal, and the camaraderie that helped these soldiers endure just unimaginable hardship.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And it's a reminder that history is not just about dates and battles,
Right.
but about the personal stories of those who lived through these momentous events.
Absolutely.
So as we reflect on the battles for Chattanooga, we should remember not only the strategic significance, but also the profound impact on the lives of countless individuals.
Well said.
Yeah.
You know, by exploring these individual stories, we gain this deeper appreciation for the complexities of history and the enduring legacy of the Civil War.
Right.
We see how this seemingly small city in Tennessee became this focal point for a nation struggling to define its future.
And we're reminded that the echoes of these battles continue to resonate today, shaping our understanding of leadership, sacrifice, and the human cost of conflict.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the battles for Chattanooga.
Yeah.
We hope you'll continue to explore this pivotal chapter in American history and discover for yourselves the stories that lie hidden within its pages.